PyTorch commands. Tensorcreation. Command torch. Tensor data. Description creates a tensor from data. Command torch. Zero size. Description creates a tensor filled with zeros. Command torch. One size. Description creates a tensor filled with ones. Command torch. Randn size. Description creates a tensor with random values from a normal distribution. Command torch. Arrange start, end, step. Description creates a tensor with values from start to end with a given step. Command torch. Linspace start, end, steps. Description creates a tensor with values from start to end with a specified number of steps. Command torch. Ein. Description creates a 2D tensor with ones on the diagonal and zeros elsewhere. Command torch. Empty size. Description creates an uninitialized tensor. Command torch. Full size. Fill value. Description creates a tensor filled with a scalar value. Tensor operations. Command tensor. Adder. Description element-wise addition of tensors. Command tensor. Suborder. Description element-wise subtraction of tensors. Command tensor. Multipler. Description element-wise multiplication of tensors. Command tensor. Divider. Description element-wise division of tensors. Command tensor. Mother. Description matrix multiplication of tensors. Command tensor. Transpose dim0. dim1. Description transposes dimensions of a tensor. Command tensor. Viewshape. Description reshapes a tensor. Command tensor. Squeezedim. Description returns a new tensor with a dimension of size 1 inserted at the specified position. Command tensor. Squeezedim. Description returns a tensor with all dimensions of size 1 removed. Command tensor. Sumdim. Description returns the sum of all elements in the tensor. Command tensor. Meandum. Description returns the mean of all elements in the tensor. Command tensor. Stddim. Description returns the standard deviation of all elements in the tensor. Command tensor. Maxdim. Description returns the maximum value of all elements in the tensor. Command tensor. Mindum. Description returns the minimum value of all elements in the tensor. Autograd. Command torch. Autograd. Grad outputs. Inputs. Grad outputs. Description computes and returns the gradients of outputs with respect to inputs. Command tensor. Backward. Description computes the gradient of current tensor W. R. T. Graph leaves. Command tensor. Detach. Description returns a new tensor. Detached from the current graph. Command torch. Nograd. Description context manager that disables gradient calculation. Command torch. EnableGrad. Description context manager that enables gradient calculation. Command torch. Autograd. Function. Description base class to create custom autograd functions. Neural networks. Command torch. NN. Module. Description base class for all neural network modules. Command torch. NN. Linear in features. Out features. Description applies a linear transformation to the incoming data. Command torch. NN. Conv to thin channels. Out channels. Kernel size. Description applies a 2D convolution over an input signal. Command torch. NN. Conv1 thin channels. Out channels. Kernel size. Description applies a 1D convolution over an input signal. Command torch. NN. Conv3 thin channels. Out channels. Kernel size. Description applies a 3D convolution over an input signal. Command torch. NN. ReLU. Description applies the rectified linear unit function element-wise. Command torch. NN. Sigmoid. Description applies the sigmoid function element-wise. Command torch, NN, tangent. Description applies the hyperbolic tangent function element-wise. Command torch, NN, max pool 2D kernel size. Stride. Description applies a 2D max pooling over an input signal. Command torch, NN, max pool 1D kernel size. Stride. Description applies a 1D max pooling over an input signal. Command torch, NN, max pool 3D kernel size. Stride. Description applies a 3D max pooling over an input signal. Command torch, NN, dropout EP. Description randomly zeros some of the elements of the input tensor with probability P. Command torch, NN, batch norm 2D and features. Description applies batch normalization over a 4D input. Command torch, NN, batch norm 1D and features. Description applies batch normalization over a 2D or 3D input. Command torch, NN, batch norm 3D and features. Description applies batch normalization over a 5D input. Optimization. Command torch, optim, SGD params. LR. Description stochastic gradient descent optimizer. Command torch, optim, Adam params. LR. Description Adam optimizer. Command torch, optim, Adagrad params. LR. Description Adagrad optimizer. Command torch, optim, RMS proparams. LR. Description RMS prop optimizer. Command optimizer, step. Description performs a single optimization step. Command optimizer, 0 grad. Description sets the gradients of all optimized torch, tensor S to 0. Data loading. Command torch, utils, data, data loader data set. Batch size. Shuffle. Description loads data from a dataset and supports automatic batching. Command torch, utils, data, tensor dataset tensors. Description dataset wrapping tensors. Command torch, utils, data, random split dataset. Lengths. Description randomly splits a dataset into non-overlapping new datasets of given lengths. Command torch, utils, data, subset dataset. Indices. Description subset of a dataset at specified indices. Saving and loading. Command torch, save obj. F. Description saves an object to a disk file. Command torch, loadf. Description loads an object saved with torch, save from a file. Command model, load state dict. Description loads a model's parameter dictionary. Command model, state dict. Description returns a dictionary containing a whole state of the module. CUDA operations. Command torch, CUDA, is available. Description returns a boolean indicating if CUDA is currently available. Command tensor, kada devis. Description moves a tensor to GPU memory. Command tensor.cpu. Description moves a tensor to CPU memory. Command torch, CUDA, empty cache. Description releases all unoccupied cached memory currently held by the caching allocator. Command torch, CUDA, device count. Description returns the number of GPUs available. Random seeding. Command torch, manual seed. Description sets the seed for generating random numbers. Command torch, CUDA, manual seed. Description sets the seed for generating random numbers for the current GPU. Command torch, CUDA, manual seed. Description sets the seed for generating random numbers for all GPUs.